I'm in a very good mood today. Well, I guess I'm in an okay mood. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm in a good mood because I can't wait to do this review. And the reason why it's going down to that okay manner is because my computer is acting up right when I'm about to get ready to do the editing process. It was doing fine all week, but now all of a sudden it's beginning to mess up. My luck is like this sometimes, so I just have to get used to the way how my life is. But anyway, Sakura Wars, which is called characterization in Japanese, is a 1997 anime that has been created by Madhouse. I feel like I said this already. I probably said the exact same thing in my Sakura Wars video game review that I've done like recently. But anyway, it was aired on TBS, and pretty soon it was aired on other channels. And it is based on a Sakura Wars game by Sega and Red Entertainment. The year around the 1920s and the darkness of the demons have arrived. Now only the people with large amounts of spirit energy can save the earth. The Flower Division is now going to be sent out to destroy the demons, for they are only hope of survival with their new steam-powered machines and unique fighting techniques. Now this anime was made in 1994, but then it was published in the US and it was aired on the channels in 1997. So there's no confusion here. I want to prevent confusion. And by me watching this anime, not only that I was entertained from start to finish, but it gave me a lot of good young vibes of me watching old animes back then, like Gundam and Inuyasha, Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, Akira. It gave Neon Genesis and Evangelion. It gave me all those good vibes of just me being a kid and just being welcomed into the door of this anime life and what was brought to me. And I kind of feel a little bit of regret because out of all the animes that I've mentioned, I've just found out about Sakura Wars' existence recently, and I kind of wish this was in my radar as a kid growing up, because by me watching this anime and just seeing and just noticing how well done this anime is, I kind of wanted to know how I would be able to experience this in an underage level, because this anime is not just good when it comes to the drama, good with the chemistry of the characters, and just good with the pacing of the story itself. But at the same time, this anime has very good intense action, and sometimes most of the times when they fought demons, it had a great horror aspect of just you being on the edge of your seat when it comes to these characters being at the brink of death, and it has some good scare tactics as well when it comes to the horror aspects of this anime. And I'm pretty sure if I was a kid, I'll be traumatized, because there was some creepy factors on this anime that pulled me in to the point where if I was a kid, I'll probably have nightmares. The anime dialogue is crucial when it comes to us caring about the characters, and Sakura Wars knows this. Madhouse Entertainment knows this, because they have pulled in each character with the brink of us caring about them in all aspects. Dramatic, us caring about them if they in the brink of death, because there was a lot of times, man, that they was gonna get killed off, and I was actually afraid of each character that they showed us. Now, to be fair here, for those who love anime but their biggest strength is action, I'm gonna have to warn those who is watching this review and you're already on board of watching this anime may not be for those who love action, because the anime does have a lot of action, but it's more into the dramatic aspect of us caring about the dialogue of the characters. And I don't mind that, because when the action does take place, we know much about the characters, so when things start happening, we be on the edge of our seat. It's important. I want to feel my characters that they can get killed off. It makes it more engaging. But if the dialogue's not there, if the chemistry is not there, then if they get killed off, I won't feel no impact. Sakura Wars is aware of this, so this is a warning for those who just want the action to be thrown at you from start to finish. Sakura Wars doesn't have that here. It's more focused on the mixture of you being entertained, you being on the edge of your seat, and you just feeling the impact of the character's emotions. So this might be boring for some people, but for people like me that has a mixture of how to get entertained and how to get pulled in, this is well written for us to be on edge when it comes to us loving what we are mainly we knew what to expect when we watched this shit. Speaking of the character build up, even with the side characters' character build up is well done in my opinion. There was two characters that stood out for me. One was Iris. I keep saying her name wrong. Chateaubriand. If I probably said that right, but if I did, kudos. If not, forgive me. When it comes to these characters and these names, I kind of get them wrong because of the pronunciation. But with Iris, I love her character. I love how they have introduced her to us, because when they first showed her, I wasn't aware of just the stuff that she did, because she can teleport. That's her powers. But I love when they showed an episode when it was her birthday, and the characters didn't really want to do anything at one point, because one thing about Iris, she's not Japanese, but when she was in Japan, she found out that in Japan they don't celebrate their birthdays individually. They have a holiday for that, so they can celebrate all the Japanese birthdays in one day. I had no idea that they did that, nor if they're still doing it today. And then another character that stood out for me when it comes to the character development is Sakura. Now, well, of course, she's the main character, but the reason why she stood out for me is because I wanted to know her drive. I wanted to know her motivation, because Sakura, when she gets into this, when she's first introduced, she's not this character that wields a sword and she's a badass from start to finish. No, when she is first introduced, she is more human. She's more realistic. So there's accidents. There's a lot of problems when it comes to her being introduced to other side characters as well, because when she shows up, she is confused, she is clumsy, she makes a lot of mistakes, and a lot of characters give her a lot of shit for that, because they come, she comes in with not a carefree method, but at the same time she's very down to earth. Well, a lot of other girls that is trying to save the world, it's more professional. They have done it so many times. So when Sakura comes in, she's a newbie, so she gets picked on, she gets bullied, especially by Samir. Samir was another female that I've got the name wrong in the Sakura Wars video game review that I've done, and I have to, please forgive me, because I was saying, I think I said Samire or something. No, her name is Sumire. So I was saying it wrong again. But Sumire, her character development, she's a bitch. She is a huge bitch on the anime, and at one point, I didn't like her. I didn't like her because of the way how she progressed herself towards not just Sakura, but for every other female and character on the anime. Look, at one point I didn't like her, but then I understood. You don't want every character to be likable. There's going to be characters on here that is going to stand out in a bad aspect or in a good aspect. And Summerley, she stood out for me in a bad aspect, but that's because she takes her career of her being an actress and her trying to save the world from the demons more seriously than others. Everybody have their own perspective of how they live their lives and how they take their job seriously, but with Summer, her perspective is, if you don't see things in my way, then you're not going to take it as seriously as I do. And when Sakura showed up, she did not match it. She did not match her energy at all. So she gave her so much shit. She felt like she was in the way of everything. She was clumsy and she was not at her level of expertise. But unlike a lot of people, and when it comes to animes, now don't get me wrong, Sakura does do better. Sakura does progress a lot in the anime. But what I like about her when it comes to her realistic actions is that even though she does rise up, there's other obstacles to bring her down. And a lot of characters can relate to this problem. And that's what I mean when it comes by the dialogue being important, because with a lot of animes, like Naruto and all these other animes that has a main protagonist that goes through a lot of shit when it comes to them progressing, they come through one obstacle, one hill. After they overcome this one hill, then all of a sudden they are untouchable. All of a sudden they are invulnerable to anything. Nothing can phase them anymore. But with Sakura Wars, it's not like that. When they overcome something, they feel that adrenaline. They feel like nothing can touch them, but a bigger hill shows up. And I like that because it's realistic. It's relatable, and at the same time, for people like me who deal with things on a regular like this, I felt the pressure. I felt the pressure with every single character, even with Samurai, because when she was talking shit about Sakura, and then when Sakura was beginning to overcome her critiques and overcome her bullshit, people was beginning to give her praise. In fact, people was beginning to debate if she was better than Sumire when it comes to her acting and when it comes to her caring about Tokyo. So that was when the jealousy was beginning to come in place. So Sumire, I began to hate her, but at the same time I began to feel her drive. And later on in the anime, she was showing so much hatred and so much critique towards everybody, even her family. And at that point, she had to get put in her place because there was an episode where she actually was beginning to give her own grandfather that type of hatred. And her grandfather just gave her a mean glare, as in to telling her to watch her place, and at the same time, be careful who you talk to. And at that point, and again, he didn't say anything. He just looked at her, and at that point, she actually felt the look, and she ended up changing. Some people may think that was a cheap way of her changing that quickly, but with me, I felt it, and I understand it because people are beginning to mature. So it made me more aware of her premise and her character build up. It explains a lot of just how she was back then, but at the same time, I need to watch the Sakura Wars movie to see how everything took place when it comes to her attitude as well. Now, for an anime that was made in the early 90s, the anime is very detailed when it comes to when it comes to the sketches and when it comes to the artwork. It was very ahead of its time, not by Akira standpoint, but at the same time in the standpoint of other old animes that like to put a lot of detail and a lot of good sketches when it comes to us being familiarized with certain things that they do in the environmentals as well. It kind of gave me some Gunsmith Cat vibes, because Gunsmith Cats is based on Chicago, so they showed some aspects in Chicago that we was familiarized with. As with Sakura Wars, it was based on the times of the early 1900s, and they showed some of those aspects that people that can relate to those times can be familiarized, especially if they live in Japan. I talked so much about the dialogue, the chemistry, with the character development, and with the artwork, and just how things looked. Now it's time for the action. The action is great. The action is good when it comes to everything in fall in place. I think I've already mentioned that in the beginning of the video, but I need to say this again because the action, even though it takes a minute for us to get there because they want the character build to be precise, the action is just as good. The action will pull you in. There is a lot of good brutal fights. There's a lot of good intense battles when it comes to the characters and just them overcoming the demons, because the demons are no punk, especially the main enemy. Don't want to spoil too much, but they actually add dialogue to the main enemy as well, which I was pulled in, but at the same time I wish they could have gave us more chemistry with the main enemy. They gave us a full episode of what made the enemy be a bad guy, but at the same time I feel like there should have been a few more episodes, because they did not just give us a vision of why the main enemy became the main bad guy for Sakura and others to defeat, but at the same time they showed us a small love interest too with the main bad guy, that one of the main characters that we've known still have feelings for. I wish they kind of put more energy in that as well, so they could have so when they did have like a confrontation, I'll be able to feel the impact. But it's kind of hard to have all characters in a 24 episode genre. It's going to be lacking something sooner or later. But either way, I was still pulled in. I was more pulled in with Sakura's character more than anybody, because Sakura's character is more relatable when it comes to knowing her criminology of what she was supposed to do and why she became what she became. Especially when they showed an episode when her sword was broken and people were surprised of why she was making a big deal out of it, because after her sword broke in a heat of battle, she was heartbroken. She felt like she was useless after that. Now she could make another sword, but the sword was handcrafted from her dead father that once protected and gave his life for Tokyo. So Sakura already had a goal. She already had something planned out for her. But when her father died, she decided to live in his legacy, in his dream to protect Tokyo and to make her name mean something by her father not dying in vain. Sakura, me and you have a lot in common than you know. As you can see, this anime is great. This anime has a lot of good material here, and I have to apologize for me not putting this review out sooner. I had to take my time with this review because by me watching this in the English version first, I noticed that the English version is a little bit cringeworthy, especially when it comes to the dialogue of the character trying to say something memorable and say something that means worth a damn. So I tried watching it in the Japanese, and oddly, the Japanese version is worse. It sounds like that, I can't say they didn't try, but I feel like they tried too hard. It's like when they try to pour their heart out, it's like they try to pull their soul out, if that makes any sense. And their lines felt like they was in a high school play. I know it's ironic because they do acting scenes on the anime, but when it comes to them being serious and when it comes to them pulling out the brink of just them trying to say a memorable line, it should have been narrowed down to the point where it was acceptable for the fans to be pulled in, as well as the energy that they are pushing out, for us to think that it was a tad bit believable. But I felt like on those scenes, I cringed, and if I haven't cringed, I giggled. It was a tongue-in-cheek moment, but I felt like for people, it's subjective. Like, what does make you feel uncomfortable? But it's not enough for me to like say that that's a flaw. It is a flaw, but not to the point where you should not watch this anime. This anime is good, and for being released in an early state of the 90s, it's no big deal in my opinion, because there's a lot of good animes that suffers from this type of English dub and Japanese Japanese language adaptations. I'm gonna have to give Sakura Wars A-. The anime is great. The anime is fantastic, but I felt like they could have done better when it comes to the voice acting and when it comes to the pacing, when it comes to how they say their lines correctly. That mattered, in my opinion, because they had a lot of good material. I was pulled in, but the way how they delivered it to us could have been better, in my opinion. Especially when it comes to the enemy's point of view of why he became evil. That should have been pulled out more. But like I said, with the 24 episodes and when so many characters poured into us, it's gonna be lacking something. I feel like it should have been 30 episodes, in my opinion, or maybe up to 50. I could live with that. Well, that's all I have to say for today. And my computer is still not loaded up. I'll get around it. I got another laptop just in case that shit ends up messing up. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today. Please stay tuned for more upcoming anime reviews and videos headed your way. This is Hugo, your critic teacher, and you guys have a good day.